Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another FIFA 22 video where today we're going to be checking out the 4-3-1-2 formation. Now, normally for me, I'm not a huge fan of narrow formations. Now, this is actually the formation that I start in, just mainly because for chemistry purposes it works. It might not look like it works at the moment, but that's because I've been playing the Final Fanatic game mode, so I can obviously have an extra icon in there. But in general, I'm not a huge fan of narrow formations. I think it's kind of important in FIFA for success that you do need to have some width, and obviously there is width provided with this formation with fullbacks, but we're not going to use that today. But I don't personally like formations that are super narrow. They don't seem to work for me personally. I do feel like it's quite important to have width in a team, just more than anything, just to kind of like mix up your attacks and not make it too predictable. But in general, narrow formations do have purpose, and they can be very effective. If you're someone that likes to play really fast Tiki Taka passing through the middle, obviously narrow formations are really good, and the wider formations are not going to be so good for you. For me, I do prefer width in my team, but I wanted to give a narrow formation a go and try it out and see how I liked it. Now, when it comes to the tactics, I didn't go for anything too eccentric with the tactics. I generally went, as you can see, quite basic, because I think with narrow formations, you kind of can't really, you don't have a lot of options because you don't have width. You don't have a lot of options. So defensive style, you know, you have to kind of stay balanced. You can't really press in a narrow formation, because if you try and press your opponent, all they have to do is just dink a little ball out to a fullback. Because you don't have any left and right mids, left and right wingers, you don't have anyone pressing on top of the fullback. It's just, you know, they're free. There's no one to press them. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't man-to-man press. So pressing doesn't really work. You know, it just kind of, all it will do is just mean that you'll have lots of space for your opponents to exploit, but you're not actually applying a press unless you're going to be dragging your fullbacks getting forward. So you really have to play on a balance. It kind of just tie your hands there. In terms of defensive width, 50 is a good number. 60 on the depth. Again, this is one of those ones where it doesn't really matter too much in this formation. Generally, I wouldn't go probably above 60. You don't have a DM to really cover, so when your midfielders get forwards, you know, obviously if you're flat 3 in midfield, when they all get forwards, you don't have a natural defensive midfielder to kind of like defend with. So I wouldn't advise going too high on the depth. Even though we are having the whole back four staying back while we're attacking, not having that DM to defend with, you don't want to be dragging out fullbacks, you don't want to be dragging out centre backs, you want to be controlling midfielders to defend passing lanes and whatnot. So you don't want to go too high on the depth. It is going to create some problems if you go too high. In terms of the build-up play, I think fast build-up is a must for this formation. I think because you don't have width, you don't have that unpredictability, you kind of have to play a lot quicker in midfield, because going through the middle is generally your only way to attack. You need to then do it a lot faster because your opponent knows you're going to attack through the middle. You don't have width, so when you so you don't have like unpredictability with using width and maybe crossing the ball or looking for, you know, going down the wing looking for cutbacks, whatever it may be. You have to go through the middle, so you have to go through the middle and do it a lot faster. So fast build up is a must for this formation. I think long ball could potentially work if you've got super quick strikers. And if you're someone that just likes to use lots of chip through balls, then go for that. But I think fast build up is the one. It was the only one that worked for me when I was using it. Obviously in rivals, it was just the only one that really worked. In terms of chance creation, I went for balance. Now, direct passing might seem like the obvious choice here. But what I found when I went for fast build up and direct passing, I was way too exposed. There was so much space. It was so easy for my opponents to just carve chances and score goals against me. So pairing fast build up with direct passing, especially in this formation, because we don't have width to call on to help defend, because we don't have DMs, we don't have any of those in this formation. So pairing this together just doesn't work. So you really have to stay with chance creation on balanced and let the fast build up, you know, do the work. And then obviously when you get to the box, you kind of got to figure it out yourself. In terms of the offensive width, I went for 65. This is just to get the midfield, especially a little bit wider. Just kind of like pull the team apart a little bit, because you don't want people to be like on top of each other, especially in fast build up, especially with your opponent's midfield and your midfield. They're all going to be on top of each other, and it's actually going to be really hard to play fast build up if you don't have this width at sort of 65 to 70. Because there's just too many bodies in there, and it's just far too easy for your opponent to instep passes. So you do need to just have your width, maybe it's 70 or something like that, just to open the midfield up, just to allow the fast build up to actually work. And then players in the box, I went for 6. It's just a good number. It's just something that generally kind of works universally with all formations. I went for 3 on the corners and 1 on free kicks. In terms of the instructions, the 2 strikers. Now, I went with the 2 strikers on balanced width and getting behind. Normally, I like to go with the 2 strikers on stay central. But because we don't have any width in this formation, I do want the strikers to just provide a little bit of width. Obviously, it's not going to matter too much because Pele in behind is on get into the box and free roam especially. So even if Cantona or Lewandowski just drift slightly wide, Pele's going to come up through that. Your Cam's going to come up through the middle. And it's going to kind of create a really narrow front 3, a bit like what you get in the 4-3-2-1. So it does work very, very well, that combination. You do especially want to make sure your 2 strikers are very quick. It's kind of a must, really, just generally in FIFA, but especially in this formation, you do want to make sure that your strikers are quick, especially playing the fast build-up. You're going to get up to your strikers really, really quickly. So it is going to involve you playing a lot of through balls. So you do need to make sure that obviously your strikers are quick enough to capitalize on those through balls. Cantona and Lewandowski weren't great at this. Lewandowski got away with it because his finishing is really, really good. Cantona is just not a great icon at this stage in the year. So you do need some really quick strikers up front, which I'm sure you guys have got to be able to capitalize on that. And your Cam really needs to have good finishing more than anything and good dribbling. They're kind of the main stats that he needs to have. In terms of your 3 midfielders, well, we've got Bellingham and Guardiola, the 2 outside midfielders. They just want to be on cover centre. Everything else about them just wants to be balanced. Balanced attack, balanced for crossing runs. Everything wants to be on balance for them because they are really going to be acting as box-to-box mids. So it's really important, especially with someone like Bellingham. He's perfect. He can attack, he can defend, he can shoot, he can dribble, he can pass, he can finish. He's got everything. He's got 4-star, 4-star. That is exactly what you need in this position. You need someone that's got high stamina as well. So any box-to-box mids that have sort of qualities like Bellingham are perfect. Guardiola obviously wasn't great. I generally subbed him off for Milinkovic-Savic instead, and he works really, really well in this formation. And in terms of Patrick Vieira, I played him as the DM, but to get him as a DM, I used him on drop between defenders so that when I was attacking, I had a back 5, just so that it made it a little bit more difficult for my opponent to spam through balls because there was less space now in between my fullbacks and centre-backs. Having essentially an extra centre-back, it was more difficult for my opponent now to play those counter-attacking through balls through me. And this worked really, really well. I don't know why that's on get into the box crosses. That should be on stay on edge of the box for crosses. But Vieira really wants to be on drop between defenders. That is super, super important. And as we said previously, all of the defense wants to be on stay back while attacking. Unfortunately, it seems to be the way with FIFA at the moment. At the moment, I feel like I'm the only person in the community that tries to play with my fullbacks on balanced. Everybody just seems to have their fullbacks sat really, really deep. And whenever I have my fullbacks on balanced, I just seem to get countered like crazy, which is really frustrating because I want to send my fullbacks forward. I want to, play that attacking style, play lots of crosses, lots of through balls, and, just play a little bit more on the front foot. But, it seems to be at the moment, everybody is playing really, really deep and tough to break down. So you do really need the fullbacks on stay back while attacking. If you want to go with them on balance, that's fine. You just got to accept that you're going to get countered like I did. I initially went on balanced and it was fun. But I just got countered so many times that eventually I had to change it on stay back while attacking. And obviously Van der Sar is on comes for crosses and sweep at keeper. But that is it for this 4-3-1-2 formation. In general, I was pleasantly surprised by how well this played. I don't really like narrow formations too much. They're not really my forte, not really something that I like to go for. But I was pleasantly surprised by this 4-3-1-2. It did work very, very well. I think the fast build-up was super, super important and really instrumental in making this formation play really good. So if there are any tweaks you want me to help you with, let me know down in the comment section. Drop a thumbs up and subscribe as well if you are new to the channel. But that is all today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.